Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wisco Boater and an update on Nep'Toon, the Micro Tug 9. Starting out this video a little bit different though. I am on my way to, sorry the video's a little bouncy, it's phone is mounted in my truck. As I make my way out into the country, I'm gonna do a check on Clifford, the big boat, the big red boat. So come along with me for just a couple minutes and I'll show you where the big red boat is being stored for the winter on a friend's farm, along with about 9 or 10 other boats and 9 or 10 other campers. Wisconsin is such a pretty place to live. Summers, winters, it's all pretty. So hilly, and I love the snow. But the boat is kept in that building right there, the gray building, and their German Shepherd is coming out to greet me. And we'll go in here and see what's going on. All right, so inside this building, you can see he's got boats, campers, boats, more boats. We'll squeeze back here past a very nice Mastercraft. This is a Moomba. Nice big black trailer here. I don't know what that is, but there's Clifford, the big red boat. And my gosh, he's just got things stuffed in back here. That's I put that in all the exterior holes just to try and keep access for little critters out. And my repellent is still there. So we'll go up here and take a look in just a second. All right, well, other than a couple of dead spiders that I'd already knocked off, I don't see any evidence of mouse droppings or anything anywhere. Let's do a quick peek in here. Looks good, a little dirty. Looks good. Ooh, a little breezy in here. A little bit of snow on the deck. Always got the window vented right there. Okay. Well, I'll get this opened up and then I'll start again. Okay, we are now inside. The video is not going to be great, but all my dryer sheets are still in place. Again, no evidence of critters being in here. This opened up. And well, that's interesting. They got left on both. All right, well, they'll be completely drained. I'll have to charge those up. I don't know why I would have done that. Might be kind of a waste of time anyway, but just to check things out. Everything looks good. Go down into the cabin. Power panel, where everything is obviously dark. Bed, fenders. I don't smell anything unusual. No droppings anywhere. Good. Looks like so far this winter, everything is good. Whoops. Okay. Good. I'm very happy with this. everything looks good on the boat. So we'll come back and check on her later. Maybe when it's a little warmer out. Back to the Nep'Toon tugboat. All right, well, I came back out to the boat, out to the farm where it's kept, and I found some really, really good news. The marina that did the winterization for me, they unhooked the negative battery terminals on both batteries. So even though maybe it wasn't me, it could have been the marina that left the battery switch on both, but whoever did is besides the point. The cables are not hooked up, so should be good. This is great news. All right, so I'll just recap the day here before we get over to the Nep'Toon tugboat. So I came over to check on Clifford, the big red boat, earlier today, and everything was good with it, but I had found that I left the battery switch in, or someone had left the battery switch in the both position. Now, if I did that, shame on me. That's a mistake that should never happen when a boat is out of the water and not being used. If the marina did it, well, these things happen, and the good news is that they did disconnect the negative battery cables, which, I mean, obviously happy that they did that, because that means that the batteries did not discharge. It might be a little bit low on voltage when spring comes around, but they'll charge back up, no problem. But it's just weird that if the marina disconnected the battery cables with the switch in the both position, that's kind of dangerous too, although it's negative, but still. Whoever made the mistake, silly mistake, but the good news is, since the cables are disconnected, the batteries will be just fine. I also did look at the date while I was down in the engine compartment. It's June of 17, so they're not quite 2 years old. So those batteries have a lot of life left in them. I was curious about that at one point over the winter. I thought that I looked at it, but I couldn't remember what the date was. So they're good to go. So anyway, back to the Nep'Toon tugboat build. Enjoy the rest of this episode, everybody. So it's been a couple of, well, not a couple of weeks, it's been a week. I had a work trip that actually ended up getting cut short, so I'm home a few days early. So I'm going to get back to work on the tugboat, and today I'm going to take the router and make this edge right here a 1/2 inch radius. So fairly straightforward, and then after that's radius, I will use what's left, exactly the right amount of 3-inch tape to finish this part out. After that is fiberglass. Then I start working on putting the other roof supports in, as well as the front pieces. So this is going to be extremely loud in this tiny little space, and it's going to make a frickin' mess. Guaranteed. Let me cover my beer up, because that's important. Okay, beer is covered. Router's ready to go. Safety glasses, hearing protection. Rock and roll. All right. That got sawdust everywhere. as noisy and messy. It's all over me. Okay, time to fiberglass the back corner of the cabin. So I'm going to put a layer on right here, and then I've got the strip cut already. I'll just kind of tap that in place and then fiberglass over it, do the other side, and that's it for today. That looks great. Alright, so I got the sides done. Now, switch gloves. Quick drink. Ooh. That beer is nutmeggy and maple syrupy. In case you're wondering, another breakfast for kings, imperial stout, brewed with nutmeg and maple syrup. Delicious. Not just good for breakfast. So I'm going to take these two wood pieces and see if I can set this up to show you where I want to put them. So this piece is going to go right there. And I'm just going to glue it in place. I don't think I'm going to need any fiberglass over it. Hopefully it'll stick. That one's in place, and I'm just going to stop the camera because I'm going to do the same thing to this side, and I'll show you when I'm done. So just to recap what I did here, put a little patch over the hole there, same thing down here, and those are just glued in place. I'm not going to fiberglass over those, no real reason to, just a hole to fill, and then I ran fiberglass up and down the corners here. I'm going to put some wax paper around that corner just to make sure it's nice and smooth on both sides. And then it's time to move on to the other roof supports. And just a quick segment here to show the wax paper in place. Wrapped it around the corner, smooth everything out. So that should sand nicely once it's done. Both sides have wax paper. So we'll let those sit for a couple hours, probably till tomorrow. I don't think I'll come back out here tonight, but it's looking good. We've got the front roof beam clamped to the table, and I measured off 40 inches because the next step here is to take the front roof beam, cut it at approximately, according to the plans, says about 40 inches. So I measured 20 inches from the center either side to get 40. So I'm going to go cut that and then do a trial fit to the front of the cabin here. These come in quite a ways to make sure that they end up being flush in the plane, because you can see the way they kind of twist out a little bit right now. But clamping the front roof beam in place, we'll put that in a single plane, so up and down. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go out and cut that board and then come back and fit that. So tonight I got the front roof beam in place. Kind of a tricky thing to do. I barely have it clamped on either side, and then I just used a piece of painter's tape to keep that board from falling forward. And I clamped plastic resin cups to both sides to keep it from falling. Now the resin's not going to stick to those cups, so those will come right off after it's cured. But I did just kind of drizzle resin down the joint there on either side, And I'll let that cure for a couple of hours, and I'll probably just let it sit overnight, to be honest, because I just don't want this to break apart for any reason. So this came out, well, it's coming out pretty good. We'll see tomorrow when I take the clamp off, and hopefully it stays in place. And then the center roof rib or roof support, which is right here, that'll get installed, and the structure should be getting pretty rigid by then. Picking up just after I have cut the center roof support to its proper length. Sticks up just a little bit above the sidewall, but that is to make sure that the tape is touching the top of the arch there. So that's why I'm going to make sure that there's contact all the way back and forth from the front one to the back one. And I figured out a way to clamp this in place so it doesn't fall down. Put some packing tape over the clamps so they won't stick. Did the same thing on that side. So I'm going to cut out a couple of 2-inch strips for each side, get this fiberglass in place tonight. And then tomorrow, got a little bit of a bow there, but it's not. It's actually more pronounced on the video than it is in real life. But we'll get the glass in here in a second. Okay, well, I'm going to work on getting the corners fiberglass of that middle roof rack, or roof support. I can get my glove on the right way. Pre-soaked some 2-inch fiberglass and just lightly set it in place. So now all I'm doing is dabbing the fiberglass down. Ouch! This really hurt my knees. All right. Alright, so I've been slowly covering the bench here with excess resin. They're still going to get this, I'm still planning on this bench to be filled with flotation foam, so it will get some holes cut. Whoop. At some point, when it gets a little bit warmer, although right now, geez, it's 67 degrees in the shop, but it was also in the upper 30s outside today. All right, easy enough. Two-inch tabbing on both sides. Where's it at? There it is. After this cures, the roof supports are done. It's on to the front, I believe. Working the front pieces. Yep, so looking at the instructions here, I just checked this one off. Front roof beam is in. Cabin side is install with a flat plane with a side support. Install after fitting the front one, and then install the center roof beam. Next is install the cabin front and quarter panels. So I'll figure out what needs to be done there. I have the front piece done, cut out already, and then the 2 quarter panels get custom fit to that space. So I need the roof beams to be completely done and set. That way nothing moves. I do have just the slightest little bit of a curve, but after this dries, I'll be able to move that. The problem is in the piece of wood itself, not in the insulation. So there's a little bit of a warp in the wood right in here. So I'll just take care of that by tacking the roof in place while moving that roof centerpiece over the roof. Why can't I talk? While moving the center roof support that way just a little bit, just with some clamping pressure. That will not be a big deal, but you can see my piece of tape matches up front to back, so I'll have nice contact for the roof whenever that goes on. Glad to have this part done. I think that's all I'm going to do for this section of video. So tune in next time. We'll start working on the front window and the quarter panels. See you then.